Did you know that 66% of software projects go over budget? That's a lot of time and money wasted. In this video, I'm going to show you why your estimates are always wrong and how to fix it. We'll break down the process step by step, so you could start making more accurate predictions right away. We'll think of your estimations like a puzzle. Each piece we add gives us a clearer picture of our project timeline. With this in mind, we're going to walk you through how to put these pieces together, and it's going to change the way you estimate your projects. Defining project complexity, the first piece. Now that we've identified the estimation problem, let's tackle the first big piece of our puzzle, project complexity. You might think all software projects are created equal, but that's where a lot of people go wrong. The truth is, projects come in different flavors of complexity, and knowing which one you're dealing with is like having a cheat code for accurate estimates. Let me introduce you to something called the Cynefin framework. If you haven't heard of this term before, it's basically a fancy name for a simple concept that categorizes projects into three types based on their complexity: known, knowable, and complex. Understanding these categories is going to be incredibly helpful to come up with better estimates. Let's start with known projects. These are your simple, predictable software developments. Think of a basic customer portal. You've probably done something similar before, so you have a good idea of what to expect. These are the projects where your estimates tend to be most accurate, with the lowest risks. Next up, we have knowable projects. These are still predictable, but they need a bit more investigation. Imagine you're integrating that customer portal with an ERP system. You know most of what needs to be done, but there might be some surprises during integration. This is where small risks start to creep in, and your estimates might need a little wiggle room. Now, here's where things get interesting. Complex projects. These involve innovative technology or uncertain business requirements. Think of a custom agile software development project. You're in uncharted territory here, which means high risks and unpredictable timelines. This is where most estimates go off the rails. Understanding which category your project falls into is essential for accurate estimation. It helps you figure out how much buffer time you should add to account for possible risks. Remember, recognizing the complexity and uncertainties involved is often overlooked in initial assessments, but it's crucial for getting your estimates right. Now you could start categorizing your own projects. Is it a known project where you can confidently predict timelines? Or is it a complex project where you need to build in extra time for uncertainties? By understanding your project's complexity level, you're already on your way to more precise estimates. Building your estimation toolkit. Alright, so you've wrapped your head around the project's complexity. Now what? Well, here's where things get interesting. What if I told you there's a few tricks that could make your dev time estimates way more accurate? Let's dive into some practical techniques that really work. Let's imagine you're building a new feature for an app. You have a rough idea of what's involved, but that's just your starting point. To get more precise, you'd start with a work breakdown structure, or WBS. It's like zooming in on your project and breaking it down into smaller tasks. Instead of estimating the whole feature as one big chunk, you'd tackle each part, design, coding, testing, as separate pieces. Suddenly, things feel a lot clearer, right? Now, how do you pin down time estimates for each part? One effective approach is the analogy technique, where you look back at similar features you've built to establish a baseline. For example, if a previous feature took 3 weeks, it gives you a solid reference for estimating the current one. This is where our issue cycle time reporting feature at DevStats takes it a step further. It provides detailed historical data on how long each stage of past projects took, helping you refine those estimates with real-world insights, not just guesswork. But you're not alone in this. Enter Wideband Delphi. This is where you get the team together. Everyone shares their thoughts on how long each piece will take, and you discuss and refine until you're on the same page. It's like crowdsourcing your estimates from the people who know the work best. Let's add another layer, the 3-point estimation. For each task, you'd come up with an optimistic, pessimistic, and most likely estimate. Maybe you'd think coding could take anywhere from 2 days to a week, but most likely around 4 days. This gives you a range, which is way more realistic than a single number. And if you're working with the team, try planning poker. Everyone throws down their estimate for, say, the testing phase, and you reveal them all at once. If someone's way off, you chat about why and settle on a number together. It's a fun way to get everyone involved and get better estimates as a result. By combining these techniques, you're not just throwing out numbers, you're building a thoughtful, well-rounded estimate. The goal isn't to be perfect right away, but to use what you've learned to get better over time. And that's how you can start to nail those dev time estimates. The secret sauce: risk buffers and time eaters. Now that you've got your initial estimate, it's time to face reality. There's still a hidden factor that can throw off even the most carefully crafted estimates. It's what we call the risk buffer, which tells us that, depending on your project's complexity, we should add a risk buffer of 5 to 25% to your overall project time. Now, this isn't just padding. It's a smart way to account for those unforeseen issues that always seem to pop up. Think about integration problems, software glitches as your user base grows, or the unpredictability of new tech. These are the kinds of things that can derail your timeline if you're not prepared. But how much buffer should you actually allocate? This is where the allocation breakdown feature at DevStats proves valuable. It shows you how much of your time in previous projects went toward planned tasks versus unplanned work. By understanding these patterns, you can set a more accurate buffer that accounts for unexpected deviations while staying aligned with your project roadmap. Alongside that, we also need to talk about what I like to call time eaters. These are the sneaky activities that can gobble up to 20% of your project time without you even realizing it. I'm talking about meetings, back and forth communication, and those inevitable productivity dips. They're a normal part of any project, but if you don't account for them, your estimate's going to be way off. So how do we put all this together? I've got a formula for you. It goes like this. Total duration equals overall task time, represented by E, plus E multiplied by the risk buffer, plus E multiplied by time eaters. Let's break that down with a real example. Say you've estimated your overall task time at 100 hours. That's your E. Now, let's say it's a pretty complex project, so you decide on a 25% risk buffer. And of course, we know about that 20% for time eaters. Plug all that into our formula, and you get 100 plus 100 multiplied by 0.25 plus 100 multiplied by 0.20 equals 145 hours. See what happened there? Your original estimate of 100 hours just turned into 145 hours. That's a massive difference, and it's way more realistic. This is the kind of estimate that can help you avoid these awkward conversations about missed deadlines and blown budgets. Now, I know what you're thinking. Adding all this extra time feels like I'm just padding my estimate. But here's the thing. You're not padding. You're preparing. You're accounting for the reality of software development. It's complex, it's unpredictable, and there are a ton of moving parts. By using this formula, you're not just guessing. You're using a data-driven approach to create a timeline that actually makes sense. Putting it all together, your estimation roadmap. Alright, now we've covered all the pieces of our estimation puzzle. Let's put it all together. Start by defining your project's complexity. Then, use your estimation toolkit to break down tasks and get input from your team. Don't forget to add those crucial risk buffers and account for time eaters. Remember, estimation is a skill that improves with practice. As you apply these techniques, you'll get better at predicting timelines. Keep monitoring your projects and adjusting your approach. Your estimates will become more accurate over time, leading to smoother project delivery and happier teams. With all these techniques and tools, you're not just making better estimates, you're paving the way for more reliable project timelines, better resource management, and ultimately, a happier team. So keep iterating, keep improving, and watch your project success rates soar. See you in the next one.